they are. If you're having trouble hearing me, let me know in the comment section. I'm just going to get this up on my iPad so that I can read your comments uh, as I do the live stream. Should take just a minute for the stream to actually appear on my iPad, and so long as I don't waste any time talking just to myself, I am just going to enjoy a couple sips of beer while I wait to check that the live stream is actually live. But in, if we are, there we go. I can tell that we are live. And it seems like audio is working. Seems like you're able to hear me. So I can see your questions. This is quite a weird setup. So this week, you guys in the comment section are potentially more informed than I am. Some of you typically might be, but like usually I've done quite a lot of research before this stream because I want to be offering a lot of value. This week, we've been moving out of our house that I've been living in for 3 years. I wanted to get all my deposit back. I don't know why I decided this cleaner came and quoted £270 to clean the whole house. And I thought 270 quid, we could clean it, and that would be, we get to save that. That'd be some more money for traveling. And oh my God, that was so much work. 3 years of dust, disassembling radiators and stuff like that, trying to get it back to the way it was when we moved in. So and then the landlord came in one of the days and was like, "Oh, the walls will probably need repainting because they were painted freshly before you moved in." So I was like, "Don't pay for painters." I went out, I got paint rolled anyway. So I've had a crazy week and I've literally not stopped for a minute, been trying to see all my friends because I'm about to go away for 5 months, which will be fantastic. Um, so yeah, don't feel sorry for me because I'm going to be having an amazing time. But yeah, I'm just a little bit less informed than I am usually. I had literally 1 hour. I've just moved home today with a few things, been running around again, and still trying to prepare for when I get to. Yeah, but I've just sat down for 15 minutes, done some Cineworld research, read up on stuff in the Discord. One of the things I noticed, I went to look at the recent RNS, and since the live stream 2 weeks ago, there's been no new RNSs. So, as far as I'm aware, I'm up to date on the RNSs. There seems to be a news article that's came out about Picture House potentially buying back their chain, but there's no firm, they were talking to View about potentially purchasing Picture House, which I think is very unlikely, but good for them that they're trying that out, they're checking that out. And so, thank you very much. I've just got a haircut as well, from one of my mates who's a barber. Hmm. Sounds like my headphones just turned off. Hopefully, you guys can hear me all right. Just put in the comment section if you can't hear me. Um, and also, by the way, this is Hayden, who I painted during lockdown. And I should probably paint a bull to have in the background instead. And maybe Hayden is jinxing my streams. I need to paint a bull instead, I think. So yeah, I just heard a noise in my headphones. So if the mic is stopped in the headphones, just let me know. And so yeah, what I think would be interesting to talk about is there's a big theory on the Discord group that there's so much conversation in the Discord group that I've not been able to keep up on. I was just there for the beginning of it. But what I seem to be the case is that um, and sound is it gone? No, it's working. Um, so basically, this whole thing of like, has Mookie betrayed us? Is Mookie? There may be crucial information that I'm missing because I haven't been able to keep up fully on the Discord link, typically in the description, but you might have to go to one of the other videos to find it this time. Because obviously, as I said, all my stuff is in storage, and I'm currently on my mum's sofa for 3 days, and then I'll be in Hanoi, where I'll be trying to continue the stream. But you guys might have to be a little bit patient. I might be being a little bit inconsistent, but I'm going to try and hit 7 p.m. UK time every single day. So every single Thursday. So yeah, what I wanted to talk about was I've got a little list. Let me get the little list up. Um, take a little swig. Right. Um, someone asked how many shares do I own, so I thought since I've not done too much Cineworld research recently, I'll talk about how many shares I own, and then also has Mookie betrayed us? So the theory, as I currently understand it, is it seems like Mookie has uh, sold his shares to some degree in a funny way. Like, so now, if he did sell his position, he would have to declare that. And there was an RNS put out that he hasn't sold his shares. However, something that he could have potentially done that it kind of looked like from a news article was that he might have sold his shares to Barclays Bank, and for say 200 million. Seems like he did do that, and on the promise that he would be able to buy back the shares for 200 million at a later date, which is pretty and the date would be September. So in that article that I read, and I'm really like, I don't have the article in front of me. I could probably go find it. I'll post it in the Discord. But yeah, he loaned the shares to Barclays Bank for 200 million. Barclays can then sell the shares on the open market. And then, so what Mookie is hoping to do is when his shares go up in value, he can then buy them. If the shares are sold to Barclays for 200 million, he can then buy them back for 200 million, but the shares are potentially worth 500 million at that point because the pandemic is over. So basically, people are like, "Oh, Mookie doesn't technically own the stock." Well, no, he doesn't, but he is contractually obligated to buy his shares back for 200 million in September. So I don't think he would want to do that. This is my perception. I don't think he would want to do that if he's destroyed the business. So I think he's got all the incentive that he would usually have to keep restoring the business because ultimately he is contractually obligated to buy back those shares for 200 million. Now, whether he could do that just depends on whether he still has that 200 million that Barclays loaned him. So they loaned him 200 million, he loaned him his shares, so that doesn't go as income. I don't believe he would get taxed on it. I think he has 200 million in cash, and what he can do is he could put that into something like premium bonds and just get interest on that cash. He might have done something riskier with it. That's just all to do with his personal finances. So the fact is, he might not be that worried about buying the shares back because ultimately it's kind of a win-win situation. Loan the shares for 200 million, and he probably gets favorable price on that because they can. You are thank you very much. He possibly gets a good price on that, and because then Barclays could potentially make a lot of money selling the shares to shorters. And so he's making money loaning his shares, and he's making money by investing that 200 million somewhere smarter because he knows that there's not going to be a dividend for a certain period of time. And that could potentially be why the price is so suppressed because if he's got his 20% stake out on the market, there's a lot of shares being traded publicly which will dilute the share price in terms of volume. The amount that it wouldn't take as much volume buying to move the share price. So it would take more volume buying to move the share price because there are so many shares, supply and demand. So that could be one of the things that could be causing the heavy volatility of the stock for months now. It could have been that there's 20% more shares on the market. However, Mookie will be forced to buy those shares in September, which could actually trigger the share price to go up dramatically, in my opinion. If Mookie is contractually obligated to buy $200 million worth of shares, 20% stake. Remember, Barclays would then have to purchase the shares in order to give them back to Mookie because they almost certainly the only way they would have made money is if they'd sold those shares on the market. So what will happen is at the end, what will happen in September is Mookie will have to buy $200 million worth of shares off Barclays. Barclays would then have to bring all these shares back together and give them back to Mookie. Now, if those shares are worth zero, essentially Mookie's got to give Barclays 200 million for nothing, for basically no business. But Mookie always would have ended up with nothing. So he potentially got some money for lending the shares and some money for putting that into premium bonds. Whereas, but if he keeps the business going, essentially Mookie could be buying $500 million worth of shares for $200 million, and Barclays would have made a ton of money loaning these shares out. So yeah, if the business does return to giving equity to shareholders, Mookie could do really well off this deal. That's how I see it anyway. I see that's how I could see there's potential for him to do very well off this deal. Now, I could be missing information. It seems like you guys have really sort of landed on this idea that Mookie has somehow betrayed us, or the board of directors have betrayed us. And so I just, that conversation seemed to be happening when I did know all the information, and I, at the same time, didn't fully comprehend where you guys had gotten to that. It seems like you'd made a few judgments based on instinct rather than information, and I don't see the information that justifies that theory. I don't see information that justifies my theory. I just see two potential outcomes from the same information. Right now, I nothing's really changed for me. Again, nothing's changed for about 3, 4 weeks in terms of the value of the business. Um, I'm still waiting for. I'm just looking at what the outcomes are of the film releases, seeing how people are responding to all the sort of the new film releases that are coming out. So I was hoping that before we flew to Vietnam, we'd get to see Cocaine Bear. I'm gutted that I'm not going to be able to see that. I also am super excited for 65. I think that I just, it's been a long time since there's been a dinosaur film that isn't Jurassic Park. And also, it's not realistic. I don't actually, I think that I would love to see a realistic dinosaur film, but I freaking love the actual scary dinosaurs from my childhood. So yeah, 65 looks great. It looks stupid in all the right ways. So I'm really hoping to see both 65 and Cocaine Bear, but I don't know if I'm going to get the chance to see it in cinema because I'm going to be in Vietnam from Sunday. Right, we got a comment. Is it possible that the Sin shares on the LSE got scraped and new shares issued when a new company arises? RNS said the LSE shares will not be suspended during Chapter 11 process. Okay, let me read that question one more time. Is it possible that the Sin shares on the London Stock Exchange got scrapped and new shares get scrapped and new shares issued when a new company arises? I mean, yeah, I mean, all the is it possible questions is basically anything is possible. So I don't really know how to answer them. Yes, it's possible. I can't even give a sort of percentage of likelihood to one thing happening, to one outcome. And typically, the way I operate, the reason I do research is to accommodate some factor of margin of safety. So if I'm investing £1,000, what if things were to continue as the most pessimistic thing is that you get is saying, let's say we get 50% of what happened in the past, then that's what your forecast is. If we get 50% of what happened in the past, what are we making? Of course, you can get far worse than 50%. But if you do margin of safety, most of the time things go well. And so basically, what the research that I'm trying to do is like, what's a pessimistic outcome for Cineworld? And then sort of base off that. Now, when the Chapter 11 process started, I think the pessimistic outcome was more optimistic. And now I think obviously there's always the chance of zero, but and what I'm saying is the chance of zero certainly seems to have gotten scarier. They seem to be trying to prepare people for the idea that that could legitimately happen. But I still see a business that can free cash flow really well in good times with the right amount of film releases. And I still think that the amount of money that's been lent to Cineworld is achievable if they're achieving the right amount of free cash flow. And we don't have information. The useful information would be how much money Cineworld managed to make in January and February, and we just don't have access to that information. Ant-Man would have been great to see it perform better. That would have given us a hell of a lot more confidence. It performed well because it's a Marvel film, but it just didn't perform like Endgame or anything like that. And I think it should have felt like a much bigger film than it was, but maybe this is just another sort of Thor 2 sort of film to to Marvel Studios. But I felt like they were trying to say this is Kang, and we need to like sort of take this guy very seriously because he's going to be the next Avengers movie. But maybe Kang is a bit like Loki was for the first Avengers film, where he was more of a setup for Thanos than he was a villain in his own right. I'm thinking potentially Kang is a setup for someone like uh what's his name? I don't know, Galactus. So potentially he will be uh, just a minor villain. I don't know. I need to see the Ant-Man Quantumania film. This is how busy I've been. I've not been able to see that either. Are you looking forward to the 16th of March? Well, I'll be in Vietnam, so sure. uh, 16th of March. I'm guessing that is some sort of date on the Chapter 11 filings. I do tend to keep up with those dates and when they're expecting to announce things, but they so rarely stick to those dates that you really can't take them seriously. So by all means, remind me of the dates and on those dates I typically I look out for things, but they're always getting delays. And the delays are a good thing. If you remember, like Cineworld get delays because of sort of good behavior. Oh, look, they show the judge, well, look, we're canceling leases. Look, we're making free cash flow. Give us more time. They typically would only get an extension if they were making good time. Otherwise, the judge would just force a sale of the business. Um, I want to see the latest earnings, Avatar, etc. Yeah, big time. That's what I think is the sort of content that I really want to be talking about, um, rather than all this speculation. I think a lot of theories are emerging at the minute, and theories tend to emerge when actually very little information is coming out. In terms of do I think shareholders will still remain with equity? My answer, my It's a tough one to answer because by saying my opinion is this, it implies that uh, that's yeah. I just There's a chance that we could end up with nothing. This is not financial advice. I still think that Cineworld shareholders are going to end up. I still think we are likely to end up with equity based on the fact that Cineworld could potentially be free cash flowing really well right now due to the not because of the big releases like Avatar, because of how many films are being released. January wasn't phenomenal because of Avatar. Avatar was great, but it was phenomenal because it had the Tom Hanks film and the other B-list films, and that fleshed out the earnings all the way through to the end of the month. And now I walk down the street and I see adverts for films like 65, and I'm like, I know that a large audience of people will turn up to that. And so I think that we're seeing a wider audience go back to cinema. So um, yeah, I just want to see earnings because that I think could change everyone's opinion on the stock. Also, a lot of the articles that are coming out at the minute were very similar to the sentiment that was around in the middle of the Hertz case. And basically, the articles, you may think they're based on, they are based on information. They're mainly the articles come out after the share price has gone up or down. And so after the share price has gone up, positive articles come out. After the share price goes down, negative articles come out. Um, and so, and they're not trying to push the price either way. It's human nature to see the share price go down, and look for content that's suggesting an explanation. So this is the problem with Cineworld, is really clickable when the share price has just dropped by 50%. But do not think that they are trying to provide value. They're trying to get you to click on their content. So right now we're seeing again this sort of negative theory and speculation, but none of that theory and speculation has come from the people that actually know the financials of the business. So until more information comes out from them, I'm still quite bullish, not bearish on the stock, but that could all change. So I don't think I have any more value I can offer through discussing Cineworld this week. As I've said, I've not had a chance to do too much research, but maybe when I'm chilling out on the plane, I can download some filings and just get into those. Hopefully, there'll be chances. I'll have chances to just read through the financials if they come out on March 16th. That would be fantastic. I'd love that. And then we'll get again another idea of where the business is financially, which is the most important thing. Um, okay, guys, it's been lovely. I hope you've had a great week. Thank you so much for coming back to the stream every week. Remember, there's a Discord where you can ask me questions. You can ask questions in the comment section. And have a lovely day. Goodbye.